You know, on the one hand, there's no gossip in this book. These are firsthand accounts. I'd say about half of the quotes are on the record. It's simply investigative reporting. And because it so happens that this book begins with Energizer, who was Bill, and still is, Bill Clinton's busty blonde mistress, goes into Hillary Clinton's abuse of agents, the fact that she's so nasty that agents consider being assigned to her detail a form of punishment, on and on to Mary Cheney, Dick Cheney's daughter, who tried to get her agents to take her friends to restaurants. They refused, as they should have, and but she threw a fit and got her detail leader removed over that. Not to mention the fact that the reason that Ronald Reagan was shot by Hinckley is that Ronald Reagan's own White House staff overruled the Secret Service to let spectators within 15 feet of Reagan as he came out of the Washington Hilton and unscreened, and that's why Hinckley was able to shoot him. That never came out. The Secret Service covered it up, even though it was the fault of the White House. And so these are major disclosures that we need to know about, especially that we need to know about our own leaders and what they're really like behind the scenes.
With regard to Energizer, you write in your book, The First Family Detail, make sure that everybody who comes to visit the president is logged in, except there's one that you don't log into the book, the blonde.
This is what Secret Service agents were instructed on when they were assigned to the home in Chappaqua to guard the president and Hillary Clinton. You know, it's a very small example of the kind of corner cutting that takes place that could jeopardize the security of the president. On a larger scale, when Bradley Cooper, the actor, went to a White House Correspondents' Dinner, President Obama was about to speak, a high-ranking Secret Service official in New York instructed agents at the hotel to let Bradley Cooper and his SUV into the secure space in front of the hotel where only Secret Service vehicles were allowed, and even they had to be screened for explosives because anyone could strap some explosive under a vehicle. It was just a favor to Bradley Cooper's security people. Agents were horrified. You know, here they're risking their lives to protect the president, and they're being told, you know, just let him in. We don't care if there's an explosive. Let him in. That's the kind of culture that I'm talking about, which actually jeopardizes the life of the president. Another example is that on a regular basis, agents will be told by management to let people into events without magnetometer or metal detection screening. It's just like letting passengers into an airplane without metal detection screening. And the reason is, again, the Secret Service is so spineless that they will bow to pressure, whether from the White House, both the Bush and the Obama White House, or from campaign staffs, to let people in because the event's about to start. There's a line outside. Secret Service, with their penurious attitude, didn't provide enough magnetometers. So the political staff say, you know, we don't want these people waiting out outside the event. We want them to be in. And sure enough, the Secret Service lets them in. You could have 5 terrorists with grenades come in and take out the president or the vice president. That's something that's in my book that still hasn't hit the press. There are a lot of, in fact, dozens of examples of corner cutting, of laxness, of you know, other malfeasance in the book that still haven't come out.
Well, just to take your latest book, The First Family Detail, or any of your books, what are some of the revelations that you found that didn't make quite the splash that you thought they would?
Well, one is Vice President Biden, when he goes to Wilmington back to his home, which he does several times a week, he will instruct agents to keep his military aid with the nuclear football, which launches a counter attack on a country like Russia or let's say China or North Korea, at least a mile behind in the motorcade, along with his medical doctor, because he wants to have this image of regular Joe. He doesn't want a big, long motorcade of 25 vehicles. So he says, you know, stay back a mile behind. Well, of course, if Obama were taken out, there would not be time for the military aide with the football to get to Biden so that he could launch a counterattack. I mean, what could be more irresponsible? What could be more reckless? And yet, that has not been picked up by the press. In addition, he goes back, as I said, several times a week. You know, it's one thing to go back home a few times a year, but he treats Air Force Two like a little taxi, and the cost to our taxpayers has been $1 million since Biden took office. I got the figures under Freedom of Information Act from the Air Force. Some liberal writer questioned whether any of this was true, and in fact, you know, what could be more official than the actual details of every trip provided by the Air Force. Now, the only thing that was picked up by the press is the fact that Biden likes to skinny dip at his pool at the Vice President's residence and at Wilmington, which offends Secret Service agents. Talk about a war on women, you know, that really borders on harassment to go around naked in front of female agents.